We continue. Fifth letter, speaking about God as creator, that he creates spiritual worlds with the letter Yud, and this physical world with the letter Hey. Truth be said, there's a order of things and how it works, of course. Ultimately, everything begins with God's will. God's will, which is interesting. You know, many of you have a will to study Tanya. Why? Well, maybe because it uplifts you. Maybe because you're motivated by the divine wisdom, or maybe the self-help aspect of it. Maybe you're motivated by the mitzvah of study Torah. Could be many things, right? That's a will that is compounded, that is caused by something. God's will isn't caused by anything. It's like, he likes something or wants something, needs something, therefore there is something. He makes that something. No, it's a essential will. Just like nothing preceded God, nothing precedes his will, nothing causes his will. What causes his will is the fact that he wants it. Why? We need a reason. Why do you want that? Why do you need that? So we need a reason, because that's a human condition. God? No. His will is such. That will, therefore, vest itself in the Yud, the divine wisdom. That divine wisdom, just like a dot is the beginning of a line and a beginning of any form of expansion, is the beginning and the source, ultimately, from the will of God to, which encompassing the Ein Sof, limitlessness of God, to being the source of everything. The Yud, the point, the quintessential point, the transcendent or the primordial intelligence that transcends logic and reason, but the source of it. So it's the source of ultimately everything, just like the letter Yud, every letter starts with beginning with making some form of a Yud. However, it's the source, but not always is that source sensed, apprehended, experienced, felt, shall we say, lack of a better term, can be conceived. So when it comes to the upper spiritual worlds, angels and souls and the like, so the Yud of Chochmah is their source that is sensed. Now, Yud is the source, Chochmah is the source, but in fact, it is Malchus, the speech of God that creates everything. So even in the higher worlds, even though the source of the creative is the Yud Chochmah, the divine wisdom, that transcendent of intelligence, yet it has to go by way of Malchus, speech. Because everything God spoke into being. However, the higher worlds, including those angels and the souls of those in those lofty worlds, be the internal soul part of the speech, which is the 22 letters of the 22 letters of the Aleph base, right? Which we've explained, 5 organs of speech. What are the 5 organs? A reminder: mouth for pay, teeth for like shin, lamed for the tongue. I'm just giving an example of where the particular letters, the particular organ is the primary part in pronouncing the letter. Gimel, palate, and ches, guttural. So those are the 5 organs. They're the internal, the soul part of speech. What does it mean internal? What does it mean soul? It means that the chachma that's vested in it, and of course vested in that is also the divine will, is not obscured. It's not lost. Hence, those created beings in the world of Atzilus and Bria, Yetzirah, they perceive their source. They sense that which is transcendent of them, a transcendence of the divine. However, this world, which of course also everything is created from the latter Hey, ultimately comes through Malchus, comes through the king, rules through his word. God is creating through his word. But in the word of God, there's another element, as we've explained, breath. Breath is the external, is the body and the matter of speech. What does that mean? It means, is there chachma there? Of course, every letter starts with the letter Yud, right? Everything has a divine will in it. Has to be vested in it, otherwise, without the divine will, the flow doesn't happen. The vitality is not coming. However, being that it's the external aspect of the speech of God, the word of God, that means that it's such a come down of the light of God that now, though it's vested, it's concealed. Though it's there, divine will, divine wisdom, it is concealed in the physical of this world. It doesn't sense its source in primordial wisdom, in the transcendence of divine wisdom, of divine intelligence. It has a source, and that is, of course, the former Hey in the divine name of God, which is Bina, understanding. As we explained yesterday, Bina vests itself, is in understanding, brings to a heart, an understanding heart. When we understand something, that understanding heart, then the heart is the source of the breath. And therefore it's the former Hey as it vests itself, finds itself in the latter Hey, ultimately in the breath of the creative force. And that is how this world is created. Now, together with this, of course, is in the breath, you still have the pronunciation of the 22 letters, which we have explained previously in Sha'ar Yichud Ben Munah, chapter 12, at great length. The divisions and the substitutes of letters and the numeric values of letters and so on and so forth, that you have when you put together two letters and you have 22, you have so many combinations and possibilities of words that are the creative force that is the source for all of the variety of creations, of the multitudinous of creation. Because even though breath is the, so to speak, final part in the creative process of this physical world, but within the breath is also the 22 letters that are pronounced. The breath only verbalizes it, brings it outward. But of course, it's with the letters, that those letters, again, not just the letters themselves, the substitutions of letters, the transposition of letters, as we've explained previously at great length, this concept then brings forth a multiplicity, multitudinous of creation. But those letters of the internal aspect of the divine speech is lost, so to speak, is obscured, is concealed in the breath of speech. And therefore, as we just explained, there's a concealment, the divine will, divine intelligence, even the divine word is also concealed. And what we have left here is a physical world that you cannot naturally perceive God's divine will, wisdom, intelligence, and even his word. And of course, that's, I'm saying, the Alter Rebbe doesn't go on this angle right now, but as a result, that's what Torah Mitzvahs gives us, the capability of finding the divine word, divine wisdom, and the will of God in his Torah, that we can connect to him in the way that is necessary for us to connect to him, being that it is concealed, obscured to us because of the breath of God, that God creates this world. And that is this world created with the letter Hey. Any questions, folks? Any comments? Yes, Shimon Shalom. Anna from Budapest. My pleasure, thank you. Erica from Norway, hello. Remy from Montreal, Ellie. Irene, thank you. Joanne from Sylvania, Ohio, shalom. Joanne. Shoshana Bina, welcome. Danielle. Gianna. The heart is the source of breath, yes. The heart, by way of lungs, of course. Joanne, you learned that the aleph can be C2. I don't know what that means. If you can explain, I didn't understand what you're saying, Joanne. Linda from New York, good morning. Clem, thank you. Golda. All right, folks. Today's class is in honor of my mother-in-law's yahrzeit. My wife's dear mother passed away 16 years ago. Today, Princess Sarah Bas, Esther China. May your neshama go from strength to strength. All right, folks. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining.